So I literally started out at probably only a few $1,000s per month. I'm now sort of sitting in between that 8 to 12 grand per month on a fairly consistent basis, which is fantastic. So I'm Josh Kearney. I run an online business called Thrive Together Wellness. I've been running that for the last 3.5 years, solely online, which is really exciting. Help what I call hectic parents navigate the health and fitness world and what it is. So typically that are over 30 that are trying to improve their health and fitness, lose a few kg, and feel a lot more stronger and confident in a new routine with young kids.
Cool. What problem did you have that made you want to reach out?
Was the ability to get more leads coming into my business. So when I first reached out to where I was having the odd leads come in, was trying to juggle meta ads whilst not really fully understanding how they worked. So yes, there were some leads coming in, you're trying to then post an organic, but there was just no consistent lead flow or no consistent structure. And then for me, I didn't want to then handball that to another agency where they took on all the work. And end of the day, I would then basically be relying on them.
Mm.
Whether I work for them for 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, was probably going to cost me more. But then I'd solely be dependent on them for pretty much the rest of my life, which I wanted to, I guess, have far more control. And that was the difference between a lot of ad agencies and where not only do they teach you very, very well, but it's the 2 day face-to-face workshop. And I'm a person that I just love face-to-face. Online still does work for me, but having that face to face where you can meet all of the team, ask the questions live, literally go through click by click, the steps, the processes, the reasons, that was unbelievable. So that guidance was fantastic. And then on top of that, to have all of the Calendly, oh, sorry, not the Calendly, but on the calendar, so many great calls that you can jump in there, get your questions answered, that are very thorough. They're not just like vague, kind of like, I'll just do it for you quickly. It's like, this is the reasons why I'm doing this. They can help your mouse navigate you and help you understand it from almost like a 12-year-old's level. That actually makes sense for a lot of people that aren't used to meta ads.
Yeah, cool. We had a bit of back and forward over quite a while, but what hesitations did you have before jumping in?
Yeah, for me, it's always just the skeptical because I've been burnt before. So that obviously just brings up some brick walls into everyone's life to make sure that this investment will be the right one. And I think I originally reached out to Brandon. I actually spoke to about this when we had our workshop. And I said to Brandon, hey, remember way back in like 2021 or 22, which was 3, 4 years ago, I had a call with Brandon. And I thought, this dude's strange because it was very different to any other business owner. And he looked like about a 19-year-old that just lived off gaming his whole life. He was in a gaming chair, red laser lights in the background. But he still left me with a form of confidence based on the information. And that's not me being judgmental. I just remember jumping on the Zoom call going, wow, who's this dude? And then I've basically followed them since. I had a few other business coaches since. They were reasonable, but didn't really sort of take my business from its smaller size to a much larger sort of scale. And that's where I'm like, you know what? I've heard so many good things about they seemed honest, reliable. They weren't pushy with sales, which is what I really liked. They just told me how it was and gave me some structure to follow. And then you were obviously really good and said, look, we've got one or two options. This is how it is, take it or leave it, without being pushy. And I
Yep.
then slept on it for a night and said, right, Tim, let's do this. Booked in for the Melbourne call, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah. What made you actually just finally pull the trigger on it?
Um, just having the belief that this system could work. I reached out to one or two other coaches that had been with Where You, and they just talked about how fantastic you, Brandon, and the rest of the team were.
Cool.
That gave me a little bit more confidence. But for me, it was at a stage where my business, where I knew it just couldn't sustain where it was, with that financial income. So I had to look at other avenues to learn. So the difference between, say, you and another agency was that learning element. So it wasn't just about what the investment looked like. It was who can genuinely teach me to give me the full knowledge that I need to help run the business myself, because a lot of agencies don't do that. They will have a dependency model where you might pay them the same as where you, but they're kind of still running everything. And they try to dress it up as like, oh, we'll do the heavy lifting for you, which sounds great early. But what you realize down the track, and that was the fault that I left into, was that I don't then know anything. So
Yeah.
I'm always then paying money to these guys because they're not actually teaching me anything. And even though they were running it, they still weren't getting me an amazing result.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not only paying them probably more than I need to, they're also not killing it. So I was like, okay, who's going to teach me without costing me my left arm that I can make an investment into my business, which where you was the right fit. It ticked all the boxes that I needed.
Yeah. Awesome feedback. What results did you get and what changed in the last 6 months since being with us?
Well, revenue income. So I literally started out at probably only a few $1,000s per month. Like starting with where I'm now sort of sitting in between that 8 to 12 grand per month on a fairly consistent basis, which is
So,
fantastic.
so
And then just a far greater lead flow. And I think for me, this is only just the beginning. So we're only talking about what 6 months, I think, since initially making that very first investment.
yeah.
But I'm only feeling that's only getting better. Like I'm learning more about my business, learning more about meta ads every day. There's been some changes in meta since that time, which a lot of people have said, stuff them up. And I know other people that weren't with you that were sort of tracking okay, really took a dip. Yet through Brandon's teachings and all the other coaches' teachings, I didn't take a dip, which was really nice. So that's been, I guess, a massive game changer for me was getting that proper lead flow, proper revenue coming in, which as a business owner certainly makes you sleep better at night.
And what effect did it have on you personally or professionally?
Well, yeah, being able to sleep better at night was
Yeah.
probably the big part. Like as I said, I definitely answered that
Yeah.
probably two in one. But for me, the sleeping better at night is just not about an anxiety thing. It's more of a confidence thing,
Yep.
like confidence to say that I can do this. And when you try something for so long but don't get a result, it starts to impact confidence, which impacts every aspect of your business because you become more risk adverse. You have the demon in your head saying, you know what, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not whatever to actually get a positive outcome. And I was working on this and working my backside off for 3+ years trying to get this off the ground, but also I was always doing the same mistake, which what I realized was paying other people to do it for me
Mm.
rather than putting my hand up and say, look, no one else is going to run this show for me. I need to run the show, but I just need someone to teach me how to run that show effectively. Because the
Yep.
online space is very, very different to the face-to-face space. It's a completely different ball game. So for me to transition out of doing face-to-face for over a decade into online, that's what I had to learn. So it's given me a significant amount of confidence that I'll be able to take and run with me for probably the rest of my life.
Awesome. If you could pick one thing, what did you value or appreciate the most out of the Withy program?
Face-to-face workshop, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Like,
awesome.
without any doubt. That was because everything online now is solely that, is only online. I've never had any other business that do things face to face. Yes, there's a few probably business coaching places that might have a little annual retreat, something like that, which looks all cool and fancy. But to have somewhere that's like, hey, let's meet up for 2 full days and we'll teach you face to face, run you through everything, give you the support, give you the replay, that to me, like those 2 days, is something that I'll never forget. Yes, it was probably an information overload, but stuff that, I'll be able to go back and watch those replays. And there's certainly so much information from those 2 days that I'll never forget and that I still utilize today, 6 months later.
Yeah, awesome. And one last question. If you were on, if anyone was unsure about booking a call or jumping, what would you say to them?
Just do it. Just stop hesitating like I did. Like I hesitated for probably 3 years. And the biggest doubt that I always have, Tim, is that I wonder if I said yes to Brandon on that very first call back in. I think Brandon had the stat, and I'm not sure if you can remember or if you were there that day. Actually, I don't think you were at that Melbourne call. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Brandon actually said to everyone, "There's some dude here that I had a chat to in 2021 or 2022,
Yeah,
and he only signed up to this call now." And it's like 3, 4 years later. And I was sitting in the crowd going, that was me.
yeah,
And I actually said to Brandon afterwards, I'm like, mate, that was me. And he jokingly said, he's like, yeah, I thought it was.
yeah.
Yes, that it literally took me 3 or 4 years. So I always think about if I had just said yes then,
Where would you
how
be now? Yeah,
different my life could have been in that time frame. So I think the more you hesitate, the more you kind of feel like you're just stuck in mud. Get yourself out of it. Get yourself some really good quality help that are genuine people that know what they're talking about, are very open, honest, and reliable. That don't just tell you what you want to hear, but often tell you what you also need to hear.
yeah, cool. glad I put the effort in and made you finally get over the line in the end. I know
Yeah,
it's quite a bit of time there, so yeah, I'm glad we
yeah,
got there. And the team's obviously loved having you on board, and
likewise.
said you're a great vibe. So yeah, appreciate you jumping on and doing this for me, Josh.
No, you're welcome, Tim. As I said, please pass on all my biggest thank yous. I'll be still in some other calls during the week.
Yeah,
The team are awesome, and particularly the new ones.
yep.
So like obviously, what was it? Sophie, Sarah. I'm trying to think of
Uh,
who.
Kira,
Yeah,
Sophie,
Kiara.
Kira, yeah,
Yeah, Kiara, obviously Brandon. I'm trying to think of who. Obviously, Patsy's new. She's been absolutely fantastic.
yep,
Like everyone that I've dealt with has been fantastic.
yep,
Like really, really good. So I haven't had any complaints. Like, yeah, I've been able to go to the calls, learn a lot, get really good help and advice, reply through school. Usually within probably 24 hours, I'll get like a really good response back and not something vague like that's good. It's telling me why it's good or it's telling me why I need to fix X, Y, and Z. So that's what I like. It's really teaching me, not just telling me it's good or bad, or just go, oh, leave it with me and I'll do it for you, which can sound convenient, but it doesn't actually help you in the long run.
yep. Awesome. Appreciate it, Josh.